If you've ever gone looking for Avalara's pricing online, you've probably had the same reaction I did. Why can't I see any pricing on their website? Yes, Avalara has a pricing page, but it only shows pricing for business license services and registrations, which represent only a small portion of what many businesses ultimately need or really pay for Avalara. So there are no published prices for sales tax calculation, filing, remittance, or many of the other services businesses actually need. Instead, you're directed to a talk to sales form. And that's where things get tricky. So once you're on a call with an Avalara sales rep, it's hard to know whether the numbers you're hearing are competitive, or whether the features being recommended are things you actually need, or how the quote compares to other sales tax providers. So I decided to dig into it. I went through customer reviews, Reddit discussions, public case studies, and third-party reports to uncover what businesses are actually paying for Avalara. Now, in this video, I'll break down what I found, who Avalara is really built for, and whether the cost makes sense for your business. So why doesn't Avalara just publish its pricing? What I found is that Avalara doesn't really sell a single subscription. Instead, it sells a collection of products. The core product, AvaTax, handles sales tax calculation. Then there are additional Avalara products and services: Avalara Returns, Avalara E-Invoicing, Avalara Sales Tax Registration, Avalara Tax Research, Avalara Cross-Border, and more. Each one comes with its own pricing. For large enterprises, that approach can make a lot of sense. Now, if you're operating across multiple countries, legal entities, complex ERPs, and both physical and online sales channels, you probably need a customized setup anyway. But for a growing mid-size e-commerce business, it can feel very different. So what starts as a simple goal, making sure that your business is fully sales tax compliant, can quickly turn into multiple products, multiple services, and a much larger bill than you initially expected. And because pricing is delivered through a custom sales process, there's no simple way to estimate your costs online or prepare in advance for the conversation. So the only way to find out what Avalara will charge your business is to request a quote and speak with their sales team. Until that happens, it's difficult to know what you'll actually pay, what services you'll need, and how the proposal compares to other options on the market. So what can we actually learn from the data that's publicly available? Well, one of the best sources I found was Vendr, a software buying platform that tracks negotiated SaaS contracts. According to Vendr, the average annual Avalara contract is under $17,000 per year, with reported costs ranging from around $4,000 on the low end to more than $75,000 on the high end. Now, it's important to understand what those numbers mean. They're aggregated across different types of businesses, and they likely don't include every service Avalara offers. So think of them as directional rather than exact. There are, however, a few Avalara fees that are publicly available. State registrations currently start at $403 per location. That's up from $349 from 2025. Business license services start at $119 per location compared to $99 before. Now, based on discussions from Reddit and other public sources, sales tax filing can cost anywhere from roughly $42 to $65 per return, depending on the setup. Now, businesses, they may also encounter activation or onboarding fees when enabling Avalara Returns, Avalara's filing service. And remember, these are only the fees we can see publicly. The final price depends on the products, services, filing volume, and contract terms included in your quote. And then there are the costs that can catch businesses off guard. So for example, if you exceed the number of returns included in your agreement, the cost can go up to $80 or even more per additional return. One other detail that I uncovered is if an account falls behind on payments, Avalara's terms include a 1.5% monthly late fee. Then there are additional fees as well, including late filing fees, reactivation fees, and other charges depending on the Avalara services you're using. Another thing that I found is that integrations have their own transaction allotments, and those allotments can be different. For example, the transaction volume included for Shopify may not be the same as for WooCommerce or another platform. On top of that, the cost of using integrations can be a separate charge altogether. So when you put all this together, it becomes much easier to understand why it is so difficult to put a single number on the true cost of Avalara. One G2 review reported that Avalara's sales team pushed a $15,000 a year support package as part of their subscription. Another described a 2,000% price increase as their transaction volume grew, with no advance warning. And at the same time, when looking at reviews from businesses that switched away from Avalara to other providers, a common theme keeps coming up: cost savings. Now, many report saving anywhere from 30% to 70% after migrating. Now, one brand claimed it reduced its annual spend from $150,000 a year with Avalara to around $30,000 after switching providers, while continuing to use sales tax compliance features and services. Now, of course, these are customer-reported experiences, not Avalara's official pricing, but they do help explain why so many businesses spend time comparing alternatives before signing a contract. Here's the thing. For enterprise businesses with global operations and in-house tax teams, Avalara does a good job. Just look at some of the companies listed as Avalara customers: Netflix, Adidas, Pinterest, and Roku. So these businesses have very different needs from a growing e-commerce brand. So they're likely receiving a different level of service and more dedicated support. And when you're spending millions of dollars on compliance, software pricing becomes much less critical. If you're a large enterprise doing hundreds of millions in revenue or operating across multiple countries, managing tax through in-house finance and tax teams, and running your operations on SAP, Oracle, or NetSuite, Avalara is built for you. And at that scale, sales tax software, it isn't your biggest expense. The complexity of your operations genuinely requires a modular and highly customizable approach. Avalara's over 700 integrations, global VAT and GST coverage, and deep ERP connections give enterprise teams the infrastructure they need. Now, for such customers, Avalara can invest heavily, providing them dedicated support, custom implementations, and a level of service that matches what they are paying for. For enterprise businesses, that may not be a major concern, but for growing mid-market brands trying to control costs and reinvest every dollar back into growth, those savings can make a meaningful difference. If your business hasn't reached that enterprise scale, if you're doing under 100 million in revenue and you're primarily focused on selling in the US, there's often little reason to take on Avalara's costs and pricing complexity. So at the mid-size level, you likely don't need global VAT coverage, you don't need 700 integrations, you don't need a modular product suite where filing, registrations, and exemption certificate management are sold as separate services. So what you need is end-to-end compliance that works out of the box: calculation, collection, registrations, filing, and support, without having to assemble a custom contract just to get the basics handled. And this is where Avalara's model, it can work against you. So the same customization that makes it powerful for enterprise teams can make it feel overbuilt for growing brands, because you're paying for capabilities you may never use, working through a sales process designed for a different type of buyer, and often navigating a platform built around enterprise-level complexity. So your sales tax provider should match the stage your business is at, not the stage that it might be 5 years from now. So if you don't want to spend time going through multiple Avalara sales calls before receiving a pricing proposal, or if you already feel that Avalara's pricing model just isn't the right fit for your business, well, there is another path. So I compared other sales tax providers, and the good news is that there are options with more transparent pricing, volume discounts, and better support. TaxCloud is one of those solutions. It's built specifically for growing mid-size e-commerce brands that need end-to-end sales tax compliance without enterprise overhead. So pricing starts at $19 per month for starter with some feature limitations, and $79 per month for premium with access to everything. The Tax Cloud publishes pricing directly on its website, and their pricing is built with mid-sized businesses in mind, including up to 16% discount for annual subscriptions and a free 30-day trial with access to all features. Core features are included across Tax Cloud plans: accurate tax calculation, order tracking from cart to completion, proactive economic nexus tracking, centralized transaction data, exemption certificate management, filing services, and integrations with Shopify, WooCommerce, BigCommerce, Magento, Odoo, QuickBooks Online, Stripe, and other popular e-commerce and accounting platforms. And you don't need to pay extra just to add a second integration, and you don't get hit with a separate per integration transaction limits. So you choose the plan that fits your business and the number of orders you need to manage. And that's it. Tax Cloud is also a certified service provider for the Streamlined Sales Tax, SST program, which means that if your business qualifies, you can receive free filing in 24 SST member states. In 2025 alone, businesses using Tax Cloud saved more than $15 million through SST benefits. The support is US-based, it's human and included. There's no $15,000 premium support packages, no chatbots. And if your business needs additional services such as state registrations, audit support, voluntary disclosure agreements, or other compliance services, the Tax Cloud team can step in directly. And when you look at customer stories on the Tax Cloud website, businesses that switch from Avalara to Tax Cloud consistently report saving between 30 and 70% on their sales tax compliance costs. So here's the bottom line. If you're operating at enterprise scale with global tax obligations, an in-house tax team, and a budget that matches, Avalara does the job. The cost isn't the issue at that level of complexity. But if you're a growing mid-size e-commerce brand and you haven't reached that scale, there is no reason to overcomplicate your processes or overpay for services that you just don't need. Now, Tax Cloud is built to grow with you.